Hello and welcome back. This is Jacob and today we are gonna be continuing the module short story narrations for the various operators in Arknights. Today with the one for Operator Horn. Now very quickly here to note before we head into our short story first and then check out what the module does for the operator. Horn is obviously someone who appears throughout the main story of Arknights, aka chapters 9 and onwards, and therefore the short story that we're gonna be covering today in this very video will be something that is heavily reliant on certain themes, characters, and other stuff that is being shown, discussed, and pretty much talked about in the main story of Arknights. So, some spoilers ahead, I would say, in this short story. For those of you who are still catching up to the main story, there is a playlist for the whole main story linked in the description of the video from start to finish. Fully narrated, fully voice acted, if you just want to sit back and relax and listen to the main story. But for now, let's head into our short story. The module itself and our short story are titled Exemplars, and this is how it goes. Horn sat up against a tree. A shell had punched a hole through its trunk. The breeze passed through the decaying wood, giving off a mournful sound like some sort of crude instrument. At least it was quieter than the battlefield. Horn was about to rest for a while, but found herself approached as soon as she closed her eyes.
"Here you are, Captain."
Bagpipe leaned on the officer, her chin resting on her shoulder. Finding it too heavy, Horn tried to pull away, but Bagpipe's weaver's strength was too great.
"Took me ages to find you."
Bagpipe batted her eyelashes, her tone pitiable.
"Ages and ages."
Maybe she was just too tired. She fell asleep. Horn felt guilty about it. As leader of Templar's platoon, she shouldn't have left her people to go off for a nap. How was the battle going? Had Triangle's recon team returned? Was Bagpipe's injury bothering her? A pile of questions clogged her throat. Footsteps and laughter sounded from behind. A boy was probably telling bad jokes again. Cello laughed a little later than the others, but always the loudest, slapping a boy's shoulder until he begged for mercy. Bagpipe finally let go of Horn's arm, hopped up, and waved vivaciously to her platoon mates. Horn wanted desperately to turn around, but she couldn't. She knew deep down that behind her was nothing but a hole. She couldn't turn around. If she did, those voices would vanish.
"What sort of dream were you having?"
Rosalie's voice dripped with her usual teasing tone.
"Wouldn't hurt to let me take first place once in a while, would it? You're so tired, you're out as soon as you hang your head. How unlike you."
Horn saw the closed book beside her, with a thin green pen stuck inside. Rosalie had recently taken up felting on the grounds that it relieved the stress of finals. She insisted that the tan ball in her hand was Horn's head. Horn repeatedly countered that her hair was a platinum blonde, but Rosalie didn't listen.
"What did you dream about? The war again?"
Rosalie put down her unfinished felt, tapping her chin curiously.
"What does the future look like in your dreams? I'm still thinking about what I might do after graduation. Logistics seems a bit boring. Perhaps I'll be a staff officer? Oh, I wonder what my first fight will be like. I'll have to count these leisurely days while I still can."
Unfortunately, time waits for no woman. The half-finished felt lay on the ground, having turned a muddy color. Horn couldn't guess how Rosalie might craft her face, and she'll never get a chance to find out. She couldn't even remember clearly what Rosalie looked like. The friends had always liked to sit in the brightest places. Her bright green hair, her smug smile, they all melted in the fiery sunlight. A pair of rough hands landed on Horn's face. She recalled how every time she napped under the maple tree in the yard, her grandmother would walk over and fan her, relieving the heat of the sun and shooing away the flies. This was still a dream, certainly, but this time she was lucid and she had no intention of opening her eyes. She used to bother her grandmother for stories about the army, her great-great-grandfather, and the feats of White Wolf's past. Then she dreamt of fighting for Victoria, just like her ancestors. Now that the war had truly begun, her dreams turned to her grandmother fanning her. Steady and strong, the rhythm was more comforting than sleep itself. Horn opened her eyes, and Feist gave her an apologetic smile. He didn't want to wake her with his work. Her shield needed maintenance too. Horn lowered her head, and a gust of wind blew by, tiny buds falling from the trees, covering the mottled shield. So, the cannon fire hadn't totally killed her tree after all. And that is our short story. What else to say here then? For those of you who know, you know, and the only thing I can say here is, damn, that'd be heavy. But anyway, let us head into the module itself and see what it does for the operator. But before we do so, let's change the music. I did only put it on for this story. Alright then, let's do the usual first and check out what the traits and talents are for our operator before we check what the module will be adjusting. First and foremost, her one and only trait is when not blocking enemies, prioritizes dealing ranged AoE physical damage. Very self-explanatory. Her first talent is Military Fortress. When this unit is on the field, defender operators gain plus 20% attack. Important to note here is that the 20% attack bonus is also being applied to Horn, so once you deploy Horn, not just other defender operators on the field will get an attack buff, but Horn herself will be buffing herself. The second talent is Bloodbath. Instead of retreating when defeated, recover HP to max and gain minus 50% max HP, plus 18 attack speed, and plus 18% defense. Triggers once per deployment. Important to note two things here. One, per deployment, meaning that if you have this trait, the Bloodbath trait trigger, you retreat her, and you redeploy her, this will come into effect again. So you can keep using this as long as you keep redeploying Horn, and it keeps proccing, of course. The other thing is HP recovering to max, but losing half HP. So important to note, for an example here, my Horn on level 60, E2, has over 3k HP, meaning that when Bloodbath triggers, she will heal fully, but the fully will only apply to 50% of the current HP, meaning that she would go up to like 1500 HP. But let's see what the module now changes on Horn. First and foremost, she will gain an additional trait. It now says increases attack to 110% when attacking blocked enemies. Important to note, the 110% buff is only applied to her if she is hitting the enemies that she is actively blocking, not the enemy she is bombarding from afar. Her basic traits like attack and defense will go up, which is very nice, and her first talent, Military Fortress, will be buffed. By default, it was a 20% buff to her and other defender operators for attack. On stage 2, it will be a 25%, and on stage 3, it will be 28%. So the talent doesn't change at all, well, in its function at least, it just becomes a bit stronger. Now, as a verdict here, I would say this is not the most craziest buff in existence. The basic traits are quite nice, of course, the flat attack and defense going up, but then again, this is a 6-star operator, and this is a very costly upgrade for an additional 5 or 8% in total. So be your own judge if you want to go through with a fully upgraded stage 3 module for Horn. As you can see here in the bottom, considering I have not updated, upgraded this from stage 1 yet, this is the full cost that it would be costing you. 8 modules in total, 20 of these, 60 of these, 3 of these, 4 of these, and quite a lot of money. So be your own judge. This is a very expensive module for just 8% attack. But I'll say here, if you're someone who is running the good old Defender Knights, this might be valid, considering it buffs pretty much every defender, not just Horn, and yeah, be your own judge. For me, this module will stay on stage 1, and I will wait until maybe something else gets added in the future. The base value of this is already nice, the extra attack value, the extra defense value, plus the extra very big buff for attack when she's smacking someone in close proximity, meaning that she can go back to bombarding, is very nice. But yeah, anyway, this will be it for this video, and in the next one we shall make a quick pit stop back in Germany, I would say. There has been some stuff added to a certain German boyo. But anyway, that will be for next time. For now, thank you very much for watching and listening. If you liked this video, please consider leaving a like on it. If you are new to the channel, consider subscribing. And like I said earlier, if you're someone who is still catching up to main story, the playlist is linked in the description of this very video, plus many other playlists as well. Enjoy your time perusing, and hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, bye bye.